Okay, I think this is recording. So thank you so much for joining. I'm really excited. I call these the colorful containers, but their actual name is, they are part of the Ultimate Portion Fix, or UPF. It originally came out when Autumn, the trainer that does 21 Day Fix and 21 Day Fix Extreme. She also does 80 Day Obsession, and I believe she's been in several other videos and programs, but she and her brother actually came up with this specific way of eating. It is a macros-based nutrition program, and basically what that means is that you are focusing on whole unprocessed foods, but also if you think back to grammar school, basically you are eating the food pyramid. You are eating all of the things. And to just go along with that, I have taken and passed the certification for this. So I'm technically a master's coach in the Ultimate Portion Fix. And on top of that, I find nutrition extremely interesting. There are so many things out there like the keto diet and paleo, and back when I was in high school, there was like the Atkins diet, and there's so many different things, and it's really difficult to sift through what you should follow, what is sustainable, what's good for your body, all of those things. So while I won't say anything negative about anything other than this, I will say that I love the approach to this macros-based nutrition because it takes into account all of those food groups. Our bodies need those things. Sometimes the diets that you hear about, they can be fad diets. They can be diets that were meant for just for somebody with like specific medical conditions, when you're cutting out lots of sugars and things like that. And really, they all have a purpose. But this one, as long as you don't have any health restraints or anything like that, this is just going to focus on putting good, wholesome food into your body, staying away from lots of sugars and things that are going to hurt your body or cause inflammation. So that is kind of just a quick overview. To get started with the containers, I wanted to show you guys this. I have a couple things on my screen. So if you have Beachbody On Demand, BOD, then you have access to a lot of the resources that are available for this, and it's kind of hard to find. So I'm going to walk you through how to get those, but I'm also going to toss them into our team Facebook page so that you can access them there as well. So let me figure out how I share my screen and do that. Okay, so when you log into Beachbody On Demand, I'm just going to go ahead and do it so you can see. So Beachbody On Demand, these are my most recent programs, but you're going to want to find 21 Day Fix right here. It might not be right there for you because that's the current program I'm doing, but you can look for it or search for it and you should be able to find it. So click on that. Then you have the overview, the workout list where you're normally going to find your workouts, and then you're going to click on program materials. And in this spot is where you're going to find a bunch of information. This is where you are going to get started. You have tally sheets, there's calendars and tracking sheets. There's all sorts of additional information here. So I'm going to click on, I think it's this one. So this, I had already downloaded it. This is one of the ones I'll go ahead and toss into the Facebook group. But this is how you calculate where you're going to fall as far as what plan you should be following. It's based off your weight. It's based off of your whether or not you're moving your body. And hopefully if you're watching this, you are moving your body. But sometimes, we get an injury and we're not moving our body. That is okay. We can recalculate this to take into not moving our bodies if we're trying to recover from an injury, or maybe you have a baby, or who knows what, we can recalculate that. So this is actually a very simplified version of how to calculate. There are some additional things, but I'll get into more specifics as we go along and how we can tweak this. But you basically enter your weight, you figure all these numbers out, and that will give you a final number. Then you'll find here where it says calorie target bracket range, and you'll figure out which one you fall within. Now, one of the things that I learned is that, let's say that you're right here at 1799. That's where your calorie target range is. Do not go up to plan C and say, oh, I'll just round up. They're very specific, so make sure you stay within the range where you're supposed to be. They cover all numbers. Also, a really important thing to keep in mind is that likely, as you start this, you will start to lose weight. So you should be recalculating your calorie target range every 30 days. So just to make sure you're not eating too much, or maybe you've gained weight, maybe you've gained muscle and you actually need to be eating more. That is not a bad thing in any way, shape, or form. Muscle weighs more than fat, so all good. So that's how you do that. I'll put this in our Facebook page. Then it's gonna give you some information, like tips for success and things like that. I'll let you guys get through that on your own. And then if this thing would go away, hold on, there we go. Once you figure out what plan you're in, you can download this. I will also stick this in the Facebook page. This is just a really simple tally sheet. So you can print this out, fill in. I'm supposed to have, I'm supposed to have 4 greens, 2 purples, 4 reds, 2 yellows, 1 blue, 1 orange, and 3 tablespoons or teaspoons, I think, in my own. But then you have a tally sheet that you can print out and keep along with you. So this is a really helpful thing that you can reprint as often as you need. Also, I don't believe that this is available on that 21-day fix information. So please let me know if you would like this. I have access and am absolutely happy to pass this along to you. This is a sample of a complete 7-day meal plan. So this is for plan A. I have this for every single plan along with a grocery list. So if this is what you need to get started, please, my friends, just ask and I will send this to you. It's not a big deal. I can just pop it over to you in an email. So this is super helpful. All of the recipes that are talked about within these meal plans are either specified below down here where it says notes, or it says they can be found on Beachbody On Demand, which I'll also cover where you can find that, or in the cookbooks. So to go into kind of the resources side of this, I'll go ahead and stop sharing. So when you signed up, likely you signed up with a challenge pack. So you got Shakeology and Beachbody On Demand. So they probably sent you this. Now mine says Morning Meltdown 100, but this is like the nutrition guide that I think the most recent one that we are sending out. So mine is all crumply because I've used it, but you'll notice at the bottom of every recipe, it has containers. So this is really helpful if you are meal planning your own stuff. You can follow along and find your containers at the end of all of this. Also available to you, you can, I don't believe, I'll have to double check, but the recipes that Autumn talks about are either in her cookbook or on Beachbody On Demand. She's got 2 cookbooks. I believe they're both $20. I think they're $19.95. This first one might actually be on sale. I can double check. I'm also super happy to take a picture of something and send it to you. I know this one has a chicken parmesan in it that's just super delicious. So same thing in here. It's gonna show you exactly. I like it because it has pictures. I personally pick out recipes based on pictures, not on words, because I'm like, that sounds great, but I don't know if that's good. But it'll do the same thing for you at the top. And the nice thing about her Fixate cookbooks is it will also specify for you if you are a vegan. There is a vegan option to follow and still stay with this. So it'll tell you the containers for vegan versus just regular. So you already have this if you signed up with a challenge pack. Then if you search, so if you log back onto your Beachbody On Demand and you click on the blog, so it says Beachbody On Demand at the top, workout, nutrition, blog. Look at the blog. every single recipe on there should take into account the containers. So that is, there are, I mean, just between the two books, I believe there's 200 recipes in there. But with this one, it's probably another 25 recipes. And then the blog is even bigger. So you have hundreds and hundreds of recipes to look at. Now, one of the things that I often get asked, and I am kind of trying to figure out myself when I'm cooking sometimes, is how do I take these pretty containers and make my meal, you know, my crock pot meal, and how do I know what the containers end up being when I have a serving of something? So technically the answer that Autumn would give you is that you should stick to all of the approved Fixate recipes to make sure that your containers are absolutely correct. Now, I know that I personally like to cook. So what I try to do, first things first, I try really hard to make sure that whatever I'm cooking, if it's like a big stew or something like that, that I am super heavy on my vegetables and my protein. If you look through, and I can also send this to you, but I'm going to show you in the book that I have this. But I have a list of all like examples of what would be considered a green container, a purple container, a red container. One of the great things in the red container is it actually breaks down broth. So you can, considered half of a red container is 4 cups of chicken broth. So just, that would be a really helpful baseline if you're making like a soup or a stew or something like that. So anyways, these are also available in PDF. I'm happy to send them to you as well. I'm sure that they're somewhere on the Beachbody website, but I am not sure where. So I know I have them in PDF form and I have them here, so I can send them along. So that should be able to help you to portion things out. So let's say you are making, again, like a stew or a chili in the crock pot and you're using lots of different things. You can portion a lot of those out and then kind of figure out what you would consider a serving to be, and then divide. Hold on, let me think about this. I have a formula for this. So if that's what you're trying to do, let me write out the formula and I can send that along because it's kind of weird to explain. Math. But I would definitely recommend, if you are cooking something like that, to stay heavy on the red and green containers, because that will help a lot. I was going to say something else with the containers and now it has lost me. Oh, so another thing that I just wanted to toss out there that kind of goes along with all of this healthy eating and things like that is your sugar intake. So sugar, my background with it is that my daughter is extremely sensitive to sugar, to the point where like you can give her like one teeny tiny M&M and she is going to bounce off the walls, like bing, 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 bing. Like that is how she is. So we have really scaled back our sugar. And a couple of the tips that I have found and we use in our own house is per serving, when you're looking at like a the nutrition information on a packaging of something, I make sure that the total amounts of sugar, so sugars will be in bold, and then there's going to say a total sugars in right underneath it when you're looking at the nutrition information. As a baseline, I say 10 grams of sugar or less per serving is kind of my baseline. I try really hard to keep it at 7 or less, but with some things I've got some wiggle room. My absolute no is going above 10 grams of sugar per serving because it's just so much sugar. Also in regards to sugar, looking at the actual ingredients of what is considered sugar. So maybe a place that I would be more willing to go above that 10 grams is if it is something that is like a fruit-based item and there are no added sugars, but there are 13 grams of sugars because there's strawberries in it. then the sugar is being calculated from the strawberries, which is absolutely fine, 100% okay with me. If there is added sugar, a lot of times that will be things like organic cane sugar. Molasses is okay. Regular cane sugar is okay. Obviously that big, what do they call those? Like hype words right now is high fructose corn syrup. Obviously stay away from that. But if you can read it and you know what it is and you know it's like, oh, it's cane sugar, then that is an okay form of sugar. The whole idea is to stay as far away from super processed foods and processed items and ingredients like high fructose corn syrup, and stay closer on the side of things like organic cane sugar. So that's just a quick tip about sugars. When you're reading ingredients on packages, it's very hard to kind of put that into any of these containers. We do have, if anybody has tried the beach bars, I believe are half of a red, half of a yellow, and I believe it is 1 tablespoon or teaspoon. So just so you know, we do have the calculation for that. But let's say you're eating a Kind bar. Kind bars are super great. So look at the ingredients of that. That would likely fall into your blues, depending on what nuts are in it. And if there are seeds in it, then it would probably also fall a little bit into your orange. What I would just caution is that you're just not eating a ton of Kind bars. But if that is your breakfast, it's probably maybe half of one of each of these. If it also has like little crispy, crunchy things in it, then it probably has a little bit of a yellow in it. I would say use your discretion of how much you think that would be worth. Sometimes when they're that tiny, I wouldn't really worry about it being part of your yellow unless you are noticing that like you're struggling, you're plateauing at a certain weight and you'd like to get below that or anything like that, then you can get more focused and honed in on those. But I would say not to super stress about that. There are also things within this program that are considered freebies. So there's a whole slew of those, but basically if you're having black coffee doesn't count, but limit your coffee intake to maybe a cup. If you have to have that second cup, that's fine. That doesn't need to be included in your containers. There are things like seasonings and condiments that don't count for anything, which is great. So all of these great freebies, I also have this in PDF form. So if you want those, I can also send that. Maybe what I'll do is I'll put all of these into one PDF and I'll pop that into the Facebook as well so everybody has that. Then comes down to things like, what about cake? What about an alcoholic drink? What about kind of those like weird one-offs? So if you are celebrating a birthday and you know that you are going to have cake, then I would save a yellow container for having that slice of cake, and don't feel guilty about it. Don't indulge and eat 5 pieces of cake because you'll probably feel like shit, but eat a piece of cake, count it as your yellow, celebrate it, love it, and don't beat yourself up. This is supposed to be a sustainable program that you can stick to no matter what you are doing in your life. Also with alcohol, if you're going to go out and you're going to get happy hour one night, save a yellow container and and have your drink and count that as your yellow. As far as like soda and things like that go, just don't drink soda. It's not good for you. Stick to water. One thing I have done, I was a huge Coke drinker. Oh my gosh, it was like kryptonite for me. I love Coke. And I haven't drank it now in over a year. I've had like sips here and there, but truly sitting down and drinking a Coke, I have not done. One thing that has worked for me, I did not get into the whole sparkling water thing. It's not normally my cup of tea, but I really like bubbly. Personally, I don't think it has a weird aftertaste, and it gives me the bubbles that I kind of seek when I want a pop. And it can still count for a little bit of your water intake for the day. However, Autumn would caution you that, sorry, the clock. Autumn would caution you that there isn't specific scientific evidence behind sparkling water and filtered water and which is better. However, people who drink more filtered water than sparkling water tend to be more hydrated. So what I like to say is if you have 1 can of some sort of sparkling water, that 12 ounces, use that 12 ounces towards your daily intake, but anything beyond that, I wouldn't use towards your intake, and make sure you're getting that nice, yummy filtered water. So I believe that is going to conclude all the questions that I had sent in. But if you have questions, please message me, please reach out. I am so happy to help you. And I'm happy to help you as you get started. I've been doing this now for almost a year. And there are some days I do super good and some days where I'm like, oh, I pretty much just ate yellows and blues. Blues are hard for me because they are cheese and I love cheese. So thank you so much for watching. I'm going to go ahead and end the recording, but please message me if you have any questions.